Welcome, urban paleontologists, deadbeat dads, and everyone's favorite squid in a can, to this episode 287 of Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 2nd of January 2019, and featuring Resolution, written by Chris Chibnall and starring Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, Mandeep Gill as Yaz, Tosin Cole as Ryan, and Bradley Walsh as Graham O'Brien. Also welcoming back Nicholas Briggs as the voice of a Dalek. Nice to know that Chris Chibnall didn't fire everybody.
Dude, spoilers.
Hey, you never know.
It's on screen.
Mm-hmm.
So people bitching in the comments like, yo, I haven't seen the episode yet. Can you not put the spoilers in the headlines?
Bitch, you're here to watch a review.
BBC did that a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, yeah, and with the fact they did that, I'm surprised this episode wasn't called Resolution of the Daleks, because, yeah. Almost traditional. Anyway, I'm your host for this evening, Randy Ronson McCulloch, and with me tonight is our technical director, Matt Winchell.
I am chewing on a peppermint.
Bill Sylvia, the man in black, who just got in from work.
Yes, and my day off is tomorrow.
Tim, the enchanter Sheridan.
Happy New Year!
And Thomas Fireheart.
Hey, everyone.
So it's been 2 weeks since we podcasted. So how are your Christmases?
Chaotic.
All right. Yeah.
Christmas went
Yeah,
all right.
it's,
No actual major fights. There was just sibling squabblery between my aunts and uncles, which happens every time we get together. So
Oh, I know all about
no
that.
problems there.
I know all about that. My aunt and myself are like oil and water.
Yeah.
And have been like since I was 8.
The thing is that there were definitely Trump voters at that table, and I definitely when I didn't bring up subjects, but when subjects came up, I ignored my sister telling me to keep my mouth shut. So I would not have been surprised if there was a fight. There was not.
Yeah, the same thing in my family. I think we've all agreed not to talk about politics because, yeah.
Oh, I have no such agreement. I'll let you know.
Well, I got a lot of shit I didn't need. I have now this little ball with propellers on it that you turn it on and it actually hovers above your hand. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with it other than the fact that it apparently attracts the cat.
Well, Randy, here's what you do. Congratulate yourself on upgrading the fidget spinner.
I got, I don't know if any of you watch television commercials, but I got one of those tack visors for my car. The little flip down thing that you use instead of your sun visor.
Okay.
That either has a basically a sunglasses screen or a
yeah.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah.
Screen. Yeah.
Yeah. My parents have one of those.
Yeah, I've got one of those, so I've used it all of twice since I've gotten it. One of which was to try to cut down snow glare.
Yeah, that would actually be handy here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. You get a sunny day after it snows, and everything goes white.
I got a handful of games. Thank you, Steam, and thank you, friends on Steam. I got a whole bunch of shirts. I got a homemade hoodie from my sister, which fits me and has schematics of Star Wars spaceships on it.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best gift I got was from my mother, and that was a $100 Marcus Theater gift card.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, you're going to put that to use.
Oh, yeah. That's basically all of next year's Murphys and maybe Aquaman, too. We haven't. The problem is, of course, with Erin's job now, our normal going to the theater nights doesn't work anymore because she works. I mean, I could still go. I could be an asshole and go to every fucking movie on Tuesday night. Here, let me show you what I watched last night.
Let me tell you about everything I got to see. You didn't, honey.
Yeah. But you see, that's the thing. That was kind of our date night. So now it's kind of weird. It is the absolute worst part of working second shift. Is any night social life fucking gone.
Yeah, you
And
have to
this
plan
is-
a daytime date or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one last thing I got was a Amazon gift card, to which I was told by my mother, FYI, if we can't really decide on anything else for you, just keep holding on to that, and we'll probably give you some more around your birthday, which will be in about a month and 2 days. So
I'm surprised I didn't get my traditional gift of socks and underwear.
I actually did get underwear.
My Christmas included $50 worth of gift cards to coffee places. The Starbucks one is already spent, but the 20 for Dunkin' Donuts. I have
I'm sorry, Bill. The fact that it's been a week since Christmas and the Starbucks one is already gone.
the Starbucks was 30, but
Mm.
the 20 for Dunkin' Donuts hasn't been spent yet because I haven't been to a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, I also got a like a $50 vanilla MasterCard. That's mostly gone because I've been a little trip over to Quick Trip and
Oh yeah, I also
one
had
to KFC.
I had a couple of little grab baggies of goodies to snack on. One was one of those two of those mini M&Ms. Those don't last long. And I also got a bag of miniature Toblerones, which are also gone. Gone, but not forgotten.
So we spent New Year's Eve over at Sarah's place, basically doing a D&D game. Kind of interesting. Our groups can get into the weirdest situations. Just, I don't even know why our DMs prep anything. Because we can make stuff go sideways so fast.
Chaos just happens. You can't plan it.
Yes.
That's how the current group on Critical Role got a ship. I didn't expect if I have a fight, but it happened.
I don't know how, within the first 20 minutes of the game, it wound up with 3 of us, buck naked, running through a stream, chasing a fish that had my money pouch in it. Yeah. It was just, wow. How did we get there from here?
One hell of a tuna.
Yeah. Anyway, on tonight's show, we have birthdays, and a lot of them, since we've got 2 weeks of catch-up to do. News, not a lot of it. We have some changes and additions to our scores for our previous episodes, thanks to Thomas, who's apparently been watching a little bit of Doctor Who and Doctor Who-related stuff over the break. Also, apparently been going to the theater a lot because he has 5 movies to talk about.
He has 5 movies, and I have an additional movie that I just recently reviewed. That's new this year.
And
Well,
then
I chose sleep over the movie I was going to see.
yeah, I chose gaming over movies.
Yeah.
And then I want to have a little talk about something that Amazon Prime did that pissed me off.
And it's Doctor Who related.
And it is Doctor Who related in our rant section. And then if we have time, we will make our post-season 11 discussion on the elements of Doctor Who, in particular the Doctor and the Companions. Before getting into our episode summary, our thoughts, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's get this first stream of 2019 underway. With birthdays. Starting on the 20th of December, we have 2 birthdays. Well, actually, one birthday. And that would have been Jacqueline Pierce, who played Cassini in The Two Doctors in 1985, but is also known as being Cardinal Olistra in the Big Finish Time War stuff, as well as Servalan, the villain of Blake 7. She would have been 75, but died last year at the age of 74. On Christmas Eve, it was the birthday of John Levine, who played Sergeant Benton from 1970 to 1976. He turned 77. It was also the birthday of Innes Lloyd, a producer from 1966 to 1968, supervised the transition from Hartnell to Troughton. He would have been 93, but died in 1991 at the age of 65. Christmas Day saw the birthday of Georgia Tennant, formerly Georgia Moffat. who played Jenny in The Doctor's Daughter in 2008 and was the producer of the Five-ish Doctors reboot. She is the daughter of 5th Doctor Peter Davidson and the wife of 10th Doctor David Tennant, and is possibly working on the Ultimate Doctor Eugenics project. We do not know. We suspect, but we cannot confirm.
The Dr. Quizette's Haderach.
Yes. The person who in 20, 30 years' time will be the greatest doctor ever known.
We humbly await your project's finality.
27th of December is the birthday of Christopher Benjamin, who plays Henry Gordon Yago in 1977's Talons of Wang Chiang, and again in a series of Big Finish audios. He turned 84. The 29th of December saw the birthday of Bernard Cribbins, who played Tom Campbell in Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 from 1966, and played Wilfred Mott in 2007's Voyage of the Voyage of the Damned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
as well as I believe multiple Big Finish roles.
Multiple Big Finish roles, and continued to play Wilfred Mott through Series 4 and into End of Time in 2009. He turned 90. 1st of January, New Year's Day, is the birthday of Sophie Okanodo, who played Allison Shaw in 2003's Scream of the Shelka, played Liz 10 in 2010's The Beast Below, and reprised that role in the Pandorica Opens the same year.
Mm-hmm.
She turned 50.
Forgot she was in
And
Shelka.
finally, today sees the birthday of Deborah Watling, who played Victoria, companion to the 2nd Doctor in 1967-1968. She would have been 71, but died in 2017 at the age of 69. Whew, that's a lot of birthdays.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And from birthdays, we unfortunately go to deaths.
Yes. An Unearthly podcast sorrowfully announces the death of June Whitfield, who played Minnie, the handsy member of the Silver Cloak in The End of Time Part 1 in 2009. June had a long history in broadcasting dating back to the 1940s, when she did shows with Wilfred Pickles.
That's actually radio shows. That's a typo on my part.
Radio shows. Excuse me. She moved to television in 1951 with The Passing Show and appeared in staples of British entertainment, including Dixon of Dock Green, Arthur's Treasured Volumes, The Arthur Askey Show, Faces of Jim, The Benny Hill Show, Steptoe and Son, Frankie Howard, Beggar My Neighbor, Scott On, Happy Ever After, Terry and June, French and Saunders, Absolutely Fabulous, The New Hudlands, EastEnders, and Coronation Street. She received a dameship in 2017. June died peacefully in her sleep early morning on Saturday, the 29th of December. She was 93. She is survived by her daughter, Susie.
Man, that's a huge... She's basically been in British television as long as there's been British television.
Basically, yeah.
And she was acting all the way to the end, because her Coronation Street role was like in the last couple of years.
Wow.
Dang.
And she actually was in the... Because they were able to get it out, she was actually able to be in the Absolutely Fabulous movie that came out like a couple of years ago.
That looks like quite a resume of shows she's been on.
So she managed to even land in the movie just before she got too old for it.
Yep. Do you know the significance of Steptoe and Son?
I do not.
It when it came across the pond here, it was reimagined as Sanford and Son.
I was gonna say that sounds a lot like Sanford and Son, but
right.
Yeah, even the same producer that did Sanford and Son did All in the Family, you know, the Archie Bunker show, and that was based on a British sitcom as well.
Oh.
Interesting.
But The Office was not channeling new ground.
No. America's been cribbing from British TV for a while.
In fact, they even tried to make an American version of Red Dwarf. Not that it was any good.
Oh no, it wasn't.
We just went, give us the British guys back. Yeah.
Interesting enough, it did have Terry Farrell as Cat. which would have been interesting for the American version to have female cat. That could have changed some dynamics really quickly.
That could have, yeah.
Anyway, moving on from Lost Stories to episode news.
On New Year's Day, Resolution was watched by 5.15 million people, nearly a quarter share of the television audience in the UK. This makes it the fourth most watched show on the 1st of January. First was BBC's Luther with 5.63 million, followed by ITV's Coronation Street with 5.39 million, and ITV's Emmerdale with 5.17 million. These are the rough overnights only, and final figures will be posted by the Bard next week.
All right. So I'm not quite sure how that relates to some of the other holiday specials.
Yeah, I would have to look at those.
Especially since there's only been one actual New Year's special before, and that was a part 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Just out of curious though, I'm looking. Mysterio had 7.83 million. Twice Upon a Time had 7.92.
And these are all overnights.
No, these are the finals.
Okay.
I don't have overnight figures. I'd have to
Gotcha.
let's see if I can see if I can pull those. Because my usual site.
If it's final figures, then actually this might have done just as good, if not better. Pending.
Maybe. I still think it's a little low.
Mm.
We usually get 1 to 2 million extra, but that's again pending.
It's not, I mean, I don't. Do most people have New Year's Day off in Britain? Because
yes,
they do.
Like,
yeah.
It depends, I guess, if they take it off to recover from hangovers.
Well, yeah. Remember the running gag about what people kept talking about in the episode, Bill?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, New Year's Day sucks. Everything's closed, and everybody's hungover.
Like one of the first things in the episode, yeah.
Yeah, fair point.
That being said, the ratings don't even go higher than a 5 total. None of the ratings for the tops for that day seem to go above a 6. Like nothing
So it
goes
was
above
good
a
for the
6
day.
anyway.
Nothing goes above 5 3/4.
It does say fourth most watched for the day, so that's promising.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes, because it could be that everybody just had, was just not watching television.
Yeah.
And having
Or
an
it's
off
just
day,
like
and they probably watched later.
The hiccup of being like the first self-contained, I guess, since it's not like a part 2 of something set on that is released on New Year's Day instead of Christmas.
Yeah. It's for me. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I'm seeing if I can get the overnights for the others, and I'm not finding it easily. I really wish this website was better oriented so you could, bounce back. Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we always do.
So next up, Kaleidoscope, a nonprofit that works to recover lost television episodes in the UK, recently came across a set of audio reels containing high-quality audio for episodes of Doctor Who, ranging from the Daleks' Master Plan to the Moonbase. These audios are more complete than the Graham Strong audios donated to the BBC last year, and between the two should be the basis for new high-quality audio masters for the serials, should the BBC decide to remaster and either reanimate or release these episodes on Blu-ray in the near future. For those who aren't familiar with why this is significant, for many of these episodes, the best we have is the equivalent of somebody holding a tape recorder to their TV that just happened to do so for their family usage back in the 60s.
Well, that's what it was before Graham Strong donated his audios.
Right, and this says this was that was last year, so most of the releases out would have been before then.
Well, I think he'd been loaning them to the BBC prior to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's been loaning them on request.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure some of the ones I listened to sounded like they were of that original recording quality.
Well, some of them are.
Yeah.
Because Graham Strong's recordings were not complete. These are not complete either, but they're
More
complete in
complete, yeah.
areas that Graham Strong's aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
And while this is a microphone held up to a television, it's a high quality microphone. So
Which-
in some places, the recording quality is actually better than Graham Strong's.
Mhm.
Which is hard to come by. So.
Also, the fact that Graham Strong's audios are missing things like closing stings,
Ooh, nice.
Mm.
and these do have those.
Okay.
There are some places where this is missing, but Graham Strong has those. So I think somebody hearkened it to like a jigsaw puzzle, and we just got a whole bunch of better pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they can merge these audios and remaster these into good things, especially for when they decide to reanimate them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially if they're not corpse. Well, they are corpse, but if if there's any they were on the fence about animating, this should push them over.
Yeah.
Also,
Well-
looking at the list, by the way, they have fixed the perfect audio then for some episodes that are complete, such as Doctor Who and the Daleks.
Mm-hmm. The Doctor Who and the Daleks was not included in this set.
Well, that's what the image is showing. Doctor Who Daleks, episode 1 through 12.
No, it was
That would be
Daleks Master Plan.
is the only thing with 12.
Yeah.
Oh, so that must have been Master Plan. It's not saying Master Plan, it's just saying Doctor Who Daleks.
No, it's Master Plan episodes 1 through 12. The thing is that it's missing the first half of episode 1, but Graham Strong has the first half of episode 1.
So there's at least something for it.
Mm-hmm. And the Feast of Stephen doesn't come off too well. Also, some of the episodes have the closing continuity announcement, meaning they were taped right off television. So, it's like, next week, the Doctor will face off against the massacre. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thought it was like up next on Blue Peter.
Yeah, and there are...
Sometimes they would do that after that, too.
Mm-hmm.
That, too. But usually they would be...
That.
Mostly, though, the continuity announcements would talk about what was happening next week. Because it also, like the end of War Machines episode 1, has the announcer talking over and mentioning that next week would be at a later time due to something else.
It's essentially the same equivalent of the Adam West Batman saying, tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, except for they always put those directly into the episode.
Whereas Adam West episodes they did that, then the BBC they put on the end of every show.
No, they'd put it over the credits. They talk over the credits.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do now, which annoys the fuck out of me. I feel sick. I want to hear my end theme, goddammit. I don't want to hear you post up a trailer for next week's episode.
Shut up and let me hear the new theme.
But, yeah, a few of them are missing end titles. But like I said, were these, which are, by the way, called the Randolph tapes, because the box they were found in basically just had the name Randolph on them. We have no idea who the hell Randolph is, but these were apparently his tapes.
So thank you, Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, knowing the way the world is right now, our next news will be that Randolph is suing the BBC for taking his tapes.
I'm pretty sure though it might be the estate of Randolph, because I bet they got them through like a death sale or something.
The estate sale or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to our Big Finish news. We have a couple of new releases. Out now, Bonnie Langford narrates one of the latest short trips, The Devil's Footprints. In it, the Doctor and Mel have to solve a Victorian mystery with the disappearance of a friend of the Doctor, and the only clue is footprints in the snow. Short Trips, The Devil's Footprints is available now from Big Finish for $2.99 download only. Also, this year's Paul Sprague Memorial Short Trip is out, and it's called The Last Day at Work by Harry Draper. It is the story of a retiring police constable who has lived a life with a noise in his head. A wheezing, groaning noise. Short Trips, The Last Day at Work is available now from Big Finish for free. Download only. Yeah, they give those Paul Sprague Memorial Short Trips for free. Anyway, that does it for our news. There's not been a lot of it. It's been pretty quiet from news. And it's probably going to be quiet now, as production is not going to start up until like mid-2019 for the 2020 series. As I mentioned, we have some changes and additions to scores. Thomas, you've changed your score from Earthshock from 2.0 to a 3.5.
Yep. It's funny because I remember when we did the Time Flight one, I remember thinking, this is a lot worse than I remember Earthshock being, and I gave Earthshock a 2, so I'll give Time Flight a 2 and revisit Earthshock at some point. So, like, in the last week or so, I just thought, I'll rewatch it, and yeah. Aside from, like, one thing, like the fact that, like, Adric's last line is a bit, is just kind of, in a way, kind of funny to me, because it just, like, feels like you need that womp womp noise after the line.
Almost.
Yeah, like, that aside, I feel like I allowed back then that to cloud my judgment on the entire series. But
you gotta
like,
admit, I mean, that was the start of the 80s SpiderMan music. That was some pretty kick-ass music for the 80s.
Boom, boom.
But yeah, like the serial on a rewatch is good enough that even though that one bit about Adric did bother me, it was like the actual serial itself holds up better than I must have thought the first time round.
Yeah, it was so low because you were sitting there going, Adric deserved better. Okay.
Pretty much.
Anyway, that changes our ranking from Earthshock, bouncing kind of meteorically up the ladder from where it was sitting at number 220 to number 202 on our list.
Shut up, 18 spots.
Yeah. Also, you rated Torchwood. Everything changes. Something you were not on the podcast when we rated it, so this is just adding your opinion onto it. You gave that a 4.0, which I believe matched pretty much everyone else who saw that episode.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I think the only people who didn't go for that were people who are no longer around. From what I saw, and yeah, I was looking at what you all gave it, and upon it, I was like, it was good. But yeah, it definitely wasn't like good enough to give it more than a 4. So I was like, I don't really want to give it any lower than that. But a 4 seemed like about right.
Well, no, Tim gave it a 4.5.
Yay me!
Being our eternal optimist, but Aaron only gave it a 3.5.
Oh.
So that kind of counterbalanced. So yeah, that one, by the way, went absolutely nowhere because yeah, you just kind of gave it what it was averaging to anyway.
Yeah, I think I remember joking like, well, if I give it a 4, that'll just make it an even more intense 4.
All right. So the next one you watched was Torchwood Day 1, the second episode in Torchwood, and you gave that one a 3.0.
Yeah, like as silly as that was, which is why I wasn't surprised that it was right, because I remember at the time thinking, wow, okay, apparently I either liked this more than everyone or was at least a bit more forgiving than most people, because I was like, it wasn't, there were like things that they probably could have done differently and stuff, and there is like some iffy implications and whatever, but like even then I was like, yeah, I could justify giving this a 3 at least.
Yeah, I think most of us were pretty harsh on it. I'm actually trying to figure out where it is on our list. I know we reviewed it. I can see everything changes. Where the heck is Day 1? Anyway, but yeah, if I remember correctly, a lot of us gave it like 2s and stuff, so
yeah. As far as I can tell, I gave it like possibly the highest.
Well, you did
not,
jump
like,
it
second highest.
You did jump at 3 points in the standing. It went from number 262 to 259.
Mm.
I'd love to see you go Eternal Optimism and watch Journey to the Center of the TARDIS and see if you can rate it.
Well, that's the funny thing. I have seen it, but it's like it must have been that unremarkable that I remember like basically nothing from it.
Either that
or it's because you hate it so much you're trying to forget it.
Yeah, it could be that you're
Probably.
repressing it.
Purge it! Purge it!
Okay, yeah. So everyone else gave it a 2.5 except for me, the Grinch, who gave it a 1.5.
Dang.
That means that Tim gave it a 2.5. Wow.
Tim did indeed give it a 2.5.
Hmm.
All right, and then you watched Day of the Doctor and gave that one a 5.0.
Yep. I pretty much. This is one because I remember you going on about that last time, and was like, I probably won't change the standings by giving it a 5, but I felt like I would only bother to give it a rating if I was willing to give it a 5. And I remember enjoying it when it came out, and it still holds up.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's
yeah,
still
there
pretty
was-
much it's pretty much the gold standard for Doctor Who, at least in our opinion. It didn't change the rating only because what you did is you raised it from a high 4.6 to a low 4.7. So it's still rounded to a 4.7.
Yeah.
I really want Tim to give it a rating and hopefully give it a 5 because that could change it to a high 4.7, which would
Was it
round it up
just,
to a 4.8.
Was it just Lucas that lowered that?
I think it was like 2 other people that are no longer with the that were like around while I wasn't here that
Day
had
of the
apparently given
Doctor.
it 4s.
It's like, why didn't I give that a rating? Was I not on the podcast then?
You were not in the podcast then. That was a long time ago. Day of the Doctor
maybe
was our
Eli gave it a
35th
lower rating.
podcast. I think
That would have been like year 2 at best, yeah.
Let's see. Bill, myself, Matt all gave it 5. Thomas a retrospective 5. Lucas was on the podcast. Gave it a 4. Aaron gave it a 5. And, what's that?
Oh, what is that episode about again?
That's the 10th, the 11th, and John Hurt's War Doctor all meeting and having to deal with the Zygons trying to invade Earth.
Oh.
While then,
the
going
50th
back and
anniversary
saving Gallifrey.
I thought I was with the 50th anniversary.
Not according to our ratings.
I don't think so, because we had only been going a little over a year then. I think you joined us a little after that.
You joined with the Empty Child Doctor Dances, which was episode 58. So
okay. Yeah, because I remember the first thing we did was that retrospective of Steve Moffat, like why he went
Mind of
insane.
Moffat. Yeah, the 50th was before Mind of Moffat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because
So
that was
you must have just been starting to watch Who on your own, and then you saw us poke around.
When we first started this podcast, it was back at the beginning of season 7. Because our first podcast was Asylum of the Daleks.
Yeah, season 7 because season 6 sucked.
Oh God! Back when we couldn't figure out how to do crap with that, and we were still using fraps. Oh God!
God,
yeah,
you're never using fraps. I was never using fraps. That was a nightmare.
So I mean, our original Earthshock review was so bad that basically everybody but two people's ratings were cut out. And then we had to go.
We weren't all rating at that point either. Someone just started rating, and the rest started mimicking them.
It was probably me that started the rating thing. I'll cop to it.
I thought it was like Flynn or somebody.
One day
I might have been doing thumbs up or thumbs down at that point. But
one day I'm gonna look at the rating list of like all the shows I haven't rated and just watch them all.
That's kind of what Thomas did over the break. And yes, we would love that because it will come up in here as it will affect ratings, and everybody can give opinions
and juggle things a bit. Make it exciting.
My opinion is Day of the Doctor wasn't Time Lash. It sucks.
And this is
Yes,
the
I'm
sound of
still
us-
riding that horse.
and
Still riding that time
what-
lash.
What we don't know is that over the week I will collect Matt and drive to New York, and so Tim will log in for the podcast next week, while Matt and I will have been signed in on our phones, and we'll break into his apartment and kick his ass live on the stream.
I'll
I
bring
mean,
the
just
burlap
full on-
sack.
Full on Jay and Silent Bob style beatdown.
I'm actually
Whoa.
seeing that our first
Day of the Doctor sucks, huh?
I'm actually seeing that our first non-blue ratings are the snowmen, so that might imply that we just that I think you probably started asking everybody their ratings that week since we had guests and we stuck with it.
That might be what happened. Because before that, I mean, we had some people that were giving ratings, but the thing is that we had to go back, and I think it was for like our 100th episode or something. We did season 7 in a nutshell,
Right.
and basically invited all the original guys back to come back and re-give their ratings, and that's where they're all recorded in there. Because all of the old recordings were so crappy that if we gave ratings, they weren't recorded.
Yeah, because I
Yes.
think that's that was where my original rating for Earthshock came from. Was that? 'Cause
Yes,
these were like, oh, while
back-
you're here.
Back in
Yeah.
back in the days when a Fraps podcast was 5 gigs and I had 2 gigs of hard drive space left.
Anyway,
Why is
so-
my computer not working? It's
So-
Fraps.
so-
Facepalm.
So yes, anybody is welcome to come back. I cannot go back and review stuff we haven't reviewed because I have ratings for everything we've done.
Mhm.
Bill has a few he's missing,
Yeah, mostly from the past year.
mostly from the past year. Matt, I think, has everything. Yeah, Matt's good on everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I have everything. Even if I had to miss an
I think
episode, I
there
came
was-
back
There
with
was
something.
one podcast you missed, one or two, because Aaron had to run that, but you came back and gave your rating the following week.
I think it might not even been missed. He might have just had
I might
tech
have had to
issues.
go somewhere else
Yeah.
and air it from somewhere else, and then
Mhm.
Aaron had to run the show. Yeah. most
Yeah, but
likely.
you either
I
gave,
think
but you
Matt-
either gave your rating in text, or you gave it the following week. Either way.
But I think Matt has attended the most podcasts.
Um, it's a tie between Matt and myself, I think. 'Cause I
Haven't
only
you had
missed-
to hold out a couple because you were sick?
Like
No,
2, I think.
the only time I missed 2 were like the first 1 or 2 of the Destiny of the Doctors back in the day.
Mhm.
And that was because I was homeless at the time and thus didn't have a place to broadcast from, and I gave those reviews in episode 3. But
Mhm.
like I said, I think likewise Matt had a couple episodes where he couldn't be there for that night.
I think I had
Because
one episode I missed completely, and then I think I had a second one where I managed to borrow my friend's laptop.
Yeah, I think there might have been one where your computer completely died, and then one where you were away from home, but you were still on the podcast that one,
Mhm.
just not streaming. Anyway,
We are
off
sidetracked.
topic.
Yeah.
Sidetracked, but anyway, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so now we're moving to our Geek Talk section. And you said you saw some movies.
Yep.
First one, it looks like was Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yep. These are all in. I just put them in order of when I saw them, and I actually saw these. The first 2 I saw on, like, Christmas Eve. The third one I saw on Boxing Day, and the last 2 I saw on the same day on, like, the Friday.
Mm.
So I saw like 5 movies in 1 week over like 3 days.
Wow. You just were working a groove into the theater seat, huh?
Pretty much. And it would have been 6, but I couldn't afford to see Aquaman, so.
Oh, I'll
that'll
probably give an opinion on that next week because I'm going to try to convince Aaron to go see it on Sunday because I really want to go see it. I also want to go see Once Upon a Deadpool, but please tell me how it is.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I'm gonna have to rewatch like proper Deadpool 2 just so I can see which of these I actually think is better, because I feel like I'm actually leaning towards Once Upon a Deadpool being better in my eyes. Like, it might just be a case of like it's newer, so.
But it also has more Fred Savage.
Well, yeah, because like honest to God, a lot of the Fred Savage stuff is, to me anyway, was fucking hilarious. Because rather than doing the full Princess Bride thing of him just being like a kid being told a story, because he's an adult who has made movies now and or TV shows, whatever. A lot of it is basically just like him as the critic, like chiming in at certain times, going, "Well, wait a minute," or "Oh my God, you did this," and blah blah blah. Like I won't give any specific examples because it's just it's fucking funny. A funny thing, and I brought this up in text, but the interesting thing is that because there are some sequences they cut entirely, like the entire. Hopefully, people get what I meant who've seen Deadpool 2, but the 9 to 5 sequence, where 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton's playing, like that entire sequence is gone. There are probably some other like minor bits that are gone, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's either there or there are certain scenes that have actually been added back in to fill out the runtime. Like there's an entire like couple of minutes sequence in the X Mansion that I was like, oh, I don't remember this being here before. So this must have been a deleted scene that they just thought, yeah, this is fine, so we'll just throw this back in. And it might be in like that like extended cut thing that's out on like Blu-ray. But yeah, I'd say go see it. They actually made it work. They made a lower rated Deadpool movie actually fucking work. However, I feel like this is a thing you can only do once, at least in this specific way. As much as I would love to see this happen again, just because like it would also feel kind of cheap if they did it again this way. Like if I'm basically set in stone that if we get a PG Deadpool, which it's actually kind of funny because for me it was M instead of MA, so it was 15 plus. But if we get this kind of a toned down Deadpool again, I would actually want it to specifically be because we get Deadpool and Spider-Man in the same movie, and it's a Spider-Man
Spidey pool.
movie.
Yeah, Spidey
Yeah.
pool.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
what I would want.
That is a rumor, by the way, that Marvel's thinking about that. And yeah, it's actually PG-13 Deadpool instead of R over here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still that's pretty close to what you had.
Yeah, because we have the Deadpool movies here are MA 15 plus, which is like a hard 15 plus. And that's with nothing taken out. That's just because we have an in between, because our R is 18 plus.
So is ours.
And it was it was an M15 is basically like, so long as you can take your kids in to see it. Like that's what the Lord of the Rings movies are rated over here. But anyway, yeah, I'd say go see it. Stay until the absolute end of the fucking credits. Like the absolute end. You'll think it's over because there's one last credit scene with Fred Savage. Stay after that because I almost left. I almost left because I thought, okay, that's the end of the. That's the end. That's the last one.
Never leave one of these movies until the house lights come on. That's
because
even then I wouldn't trust it. I'd want to fully make sure that the screen goes completely back and doesn't go light up again.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am.
Yeah. But yeah, basically it'll trick you because there's a bit of time. There's like a 30-second gap between the last, what you think is the last credit scene, and what ends up being something that it's not related to the movie itself, but let's just say without directly saying it, but I could hint at it. The last thing they show is related to recent events. Is all I'll say.
All right, so let's move on to the second movie that you saw.
So yeah, Peppermint. Honest to God, this went from a movie that I was like, oh, this seems interesting. It's kind of like The Punisher, but a woman instead. Because, family gets shot down by gang members or whatever, and then she goes on the movie is basically a revenge spree type deal. Though in this case she's not military trained, she's just it's like the movie is that it's the 5-year anniversary of the death of her daughter and husband, and she's on a revenge spree. She's been training for 5 years, and she's just going after to take out everyone that had anything to do with it.
So, in other words, it's kind of like The Punisher meets Batman.
Pretty much, yeah. And my God, like this might just be because I've never seen Alias, but Jennifer Garner as a choice for the lead for this was like, I don't know, because I'm so used to her doing like rom-coms and stuff like Juno and stuff like that, where she's playing like, the awkward mother type sort of thing. So I was just like, I don't know, but holy shit, does she pull it off? This went from a movie that I wanted to give a chance, even though I was iffy on Jennifer Garner as the lead, because I'm not saying she's a shit actress by any means. It's just that I'm used to her doing other stuff that didn't really fit this. But yeah, she fucking hits it right out of the fucking park with this. If you get a chance to see it, if it's still in the cinemas where you are, for fuck's sake, go see it, or at least when it gets a home release, watch it. My fucking God. I want this woman to be in some Punisher-related thing at some point. I swear to God, if this was under the same company, like, if this was under something that was gonna, like, if this was under Fox, which I don't think it was, and when they get bought out by Disney, I would almost want, like, them to just go, okay, fuck it, we're probably gonna cancel the Punisher show, so let's put this Punisher in a movie, and let's have it cross over with this movie, something like that, because that would be... Honestly, I would be up for that, or just Jennifer Garner showing up in, like, a Punisher-related thing at some point, whether she's a villain or someone helping him or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I vaguely remember of Alias, so if you told me the actress from Alias was in a new action movie, I'd be like, oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. Like, I think the newest action shit she done was, like, the Daredevil spin-off, like, the spin-off to Daredevil, where she played Elektra.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're talking about Elektra, and yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
That was a hot, badly
which
written
wouldn't have
mess.
even been her fault anyway.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been her fault. She did the best she could with what she was given. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, honest to God, this is probably in my top 5 for the year. This went from a movie that I was like... You
are very much in the minority for that. I mean, just looking at the critical response of this movie, it has like an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, like that. It doesn't surprise me that it'd be a movie that would, like, not really, that people would either be apathetic on or crap on. But personally, like, even though you know family death is coming, but when they show it, I legitimately almost cried because they played that out very well. Jennifer Garner acts her ass off for it, all this other stuff, and just from then onwards, I am totally behind her to get revenge on all these fuckers. And it's like, I'm fine with this kind of revenge fantasy stuff. So, like, yeah, I was all for it because this is my kind of movie. So
I would urge you, by the way, Randy, next time you mention that, you also double check what the audience score is too, because the audience scores...
Well, no, I'm just looking at the critical response on Wikipedia. It's pretty low there. It's pretty low on Metacritic.
The critic rating is all low across the board, but the audience rating is above 70%.
Yeah, apparently the critics thought it was all really stale.
Well, the audience is still loving it up, apparently, so there you go.
But yeah. Generally, I'd say go see it. Moving on to the next one
is Mortal Engines.
Mortal Engines. This is funny because this is a movie that it's flop. It's a flop, but I actually really liked it. Not in like this is a great movie kind of thing, but as far as I was concerned, it was a decent popcorn flick. And also, I think a lot of people don't really take into account that this was directed by someone who basically got their start in the industry as a storyboard artist for Peter Jackson. So this guy has no kind of film school shit. He's learning on the job kind of person.
Yeah, this is a Peter Jackson production based on a screenplay that was written by 3 people, one of which is Peter Jackson.
But yeah, the director Christian Rivers basically started as a teenager doing storyboard stuff for Peter Jackson movies and was his storyboard artist through the Lord of the Rings. Did some directing work, I think, on the Hobbit movies for the second unit stuff and that, but that would have been as much as he'd done. So, you know, any kind of directing failings I can forgive, just because this is a guy who's like, you know, this is a pretty big project for someone who basically has little to no directing experience. So for someone from that background, I'm not, you know, I could see why. And there are things in the movie that I can see why people wouldn't like it. And there are some bits that try to go for like tugging at your heartstrings or something that just had no effect on me whatsoever.
Yeah, from what I can tell, a lot of people thought it was visually beautiful, but otherwise crap.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like,
because like it's compared to Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which was visually beautiful, but soulless otherwise. And this is speaking like from me Avatar, who watched that. Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm of the opinion that while it wasn't great, I still wish it had at least made a bit of money. Not like broke box office records by any stretch, but it actually does disappoint me that this is not going to make its budget back.
Oh no. It's boxed half of its maybe a third of its budget thus far.
Yeah. So it's like it's definitely won't be a sequel.
In retrospect, Peppermint was filmed on a $25 million budget, boxed 50 and a half.
So it's already made its money.
Yeah, twice over.
Yeah.
This one had a budget of 100 to 150 million, has boxed 63.
Yeah, like I knew it was doing badly when I saw it. Was probably like the last chance I would have had to see it in the cinemas, because it got a very short run. It came out the same day as Into the Spider-Verse did, and it's already finishing up its run.
Yeah.
Like, it has probably already finished its run. It was there for like 2 weeks in my hometown.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave it 27 and the audience gave it a 59.
So yeah, like the yeah, it's like I would say that it's worth at least seeing once, no matter how you see it. I mean, I would argue for financial support, even if it's just like waiting for it to come onto YouTube, so you only have to pay a couple of bucks.
Okay.
Or something like that.
But yeah. I need to move you along.
Yep.
So the next movie you saw was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, this is a very good contender for like one of the better superhero movies that came out last year.
I've heard nothing but praise about that one.
This is
nothing
like
other than praise for that.
This, I would honestly, of the movies I've seen, and you know, it's been a long year, and I've seen a lot of movies, but I would, honest to God, put this above Black Panther, but probably below Infinity War as far as like superhero movies that we got this year, even though it's animated as opposed to live action. It definitely made me almost tear up several times. One time was honestly just the Stan Lee cameo, just because it's like...
Yeah, it's because he's gone now. Yeah.
Well, that, and also just I won't say what it is, but the line he has to start with is just like, And especially it turned out that I actually saw the movie on his birthday. Like what would have been his birthday that year. So that was like, oh, well, in retrospect, that's probably a bit fitting that I saw a Spider-Man movie on Stanley's birthday, for my time zone anyway. So yeah, go support this fucking movie. If I would have been able to afford it, I would have seen it a second time by now.
Alright.
Yeah,
Okay,
one of
so
the best movies of the year, and remember again, stay to the very end of the credits because the post-credit scene in this is actually pretty fucking hilarious.
okay. And then the last movie you saw was
Yeah.
the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the
Yep.
Internet.
Yep. With this one, I've seen a lot of mixed opinions on this. A lot of people thinking either it was good but not as good as the first one. I really enjoyed it, and honestly, forget what the trailers have made you think this movie is going to be, because the trailers are very misleading. Because, like, I remember the only trailer I remember seeing going into this made it seem like they're just kind of going to the internet for the hell of it. That's not the case. There's actually plot motivated reasons that they are going there, and the reason Vanellope ends up in the Oh My Disney site is also completely different to the context the trailer makes it seem like it is. So it's a very misleading trailer. And to be honest, thank God, because there was a lot of that stuff that was making me go, oh, really? But thankfully the movie, like, flips around and it's like, oh, thank God for that.
I
That
tend to
isn't
prefer
the actual
trailers that
context.
don't give away the actual like motivation.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
shit
yeah.
Anyway,
And I'm just
so-
saying, like, in this case, it's I was thankful that it didn't give that away, because it's
Mhm.
funny because they basically avoid anything that actually relates to the actual driving force of the plot in these in the trailers. But yeah, I'd say it's worth seeing. I saw this after Into the Spider-Verse, which is kind of funny because it doesn't hold a candle to that. I will say that much. But but yeah, I would say go see it. But I would also agree with people that while it is a good movie, it I would say that Wreck-It Ralph 1 is like still a superior movie.
Okay, so not as good as the original, but decent.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill, you had some things to talk about?
Yes.
Please try to make them as concise as possible.
Okay.
Mhm.
So to start with, the most important one, the new Dragon Ball Super movie came out. This is Broly, the character from the non-canon DBZ movies, finally being brought into the more, at least closer to canon of the modern movies. To start with, I would say you probably should have seen the two more recent movies, the ones from this past decade with Beerus in them, to get a pretty good clue what's going on. It helps if you've been watching the series, but I would say those two are probably the most important. Otherwise, you kind of be wondering where everything's coming from. That said, it's basically like a kind of like the last two movies were also arcs. This is kind of basically a season of the show condensed into a single movie. I don't know if they're going to release it in episodes after the fact like they did with the others, because there are some areas that could be fleshed out. Uh, but that's just how it felt. It felt like a season crammed into a single movie. Uh, Otherwise, it was all the spectacle everyone expected. I think the biggest moments I think were all shown on the trailers, but there were a few other big moments. So generally, if you were already looking forward to it, you probably know what to expect. If not, you probably won't be interested. They do improve Broly's backstory, but I'm not going to give it away. But it's if you thought the original one was very stupid, you probably will like this one a lot better.
Okay.
The Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Christmas special. I also watched, came out, I think, on Christmas, or it was Yule focused, being focused on witches. They used a figure from Icelandic mythology, but after skimming the Wikipedia page before talking about it just now, they pretty much just very basically use it. They take what was a family of trolls in mythology and instead turn them into just some kind of poltergeist with a witch as a matriarch, and that's kind of disappointing. It's basically just another episode of the show, so if you're just eagerly waiting for season 2 and want more of the same, you'll really enjoy it. If you're looking for something special for Christmas, you'll be disappointed. And Voltron, if I'm not mistaken, you guys talked about that a little bit last podcast, right?
Correct, because I saw it.
Not too much to say there. Kind of trippy. It definitely actually closes off the show rather than leaving it open for more seasons. I would say it's pretty good. There are some things that are arguably shark jumping moments, but it's also because they're that certain kind of finale that really says we're escalating as high as we can escalate and not really any further.
Yeah, like I said, they kind of went full Gurren Lagann on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the comparison I made in my mind was Apocalypse from the Digimon season 1.
Yeah, and for me it was Gurren Lagann, where in the finale of Gurren Lagann they were throwing galaxies at each other like freaking throwing stars.
Sounds about right. Well, that doesn't sound like it has the featureless void combat ground that this and my comparison have.
Oh,
but
yeah, pretty much it was the featureless void because they were
okay.
Outside
again throwing
the
galaxies at each other.
throwing galaxies at each other. Yes.
I will say this definitely kind of completes at least one major character arc from a character who had been, I would say, pretty annoying in the first season, and kind of brings him into an all-around, adult character by the end, and also touches on a few other character arcs. And again, if you've been enjoying Voltron so far, you already know what to expect. This one is, I would say, a little less of the space combat and more of the other stuff, but still the same character-driven show.
Okay. And then, Matt, you had something, and please make it concise because we're already 3 minutes over time.
I'm looking it up really quick. Because I also have images for everything, but I wanted to cover really quick that I watched the Netflix original holiday movie, The Christmas Chronicles. This stars Kurt Russell as Santa Claus.
I saw the ads for that. I haven't watched it yet.
I would also add that a very special someone close to Kurt Russell also makes an appearance as an important character at the end of the movie. But otherwise, the majority of it is kids have issue because significant parent member has left. The kids are kind of like going their own different directions, but the youngest child, a daughter, decides that she wants to try and capture Santa Claus on film. The pair try to stay up late night and binge on snacks while trying to catch him, and end up in an adventure as they actually do get in a sleigh, and it goes from there.
Okay.
Kurt Russell is really good in this one. He plays Santa kind of even keel. He doesn't go too over the top, but he doesn't play it like overly serious either. And he also gets a nice little moment where he gets to do his Elvis impersonation again.
Mm.
For those that don't know, Kurt Russell got popular for being Elvis in a movie.
Directed by John Carpenter.
Mm-hmm. Their first time working together. There's some nice little touches here and there. If you're looking for a holiday movie, it's a solid good, not great, but not mediocre either. It's just a solid good.
All right. So, before we continue on, I do have a brief rant I want to talk about. So, if you recall...
Oh. Discord.
And thus far, I had been happy about it. I'd gotten each episode the day after at about 6 in the morning, and I could watch it, have everything done. Until now. And that is the fact that when I tried to watch the New Year's special, it was not on my list. And I'm like, why? This is Series 11. Chris Chibnall says this is the finale for Series 11. But it's not on there. I had to get it by other means that I will not talk about. And finally, about 5 minutes before the podcast, I check it again, and Resolution is listed separately in a category called Doctor Who The Christmas Special Season 5. Really, Amazon Prime? Really? You have to make an entire section for one episode so you can charge people an extra $2 to $4 for just to see it. That isn't right. In a year's time, this will all be on freaking Free with Prime anyway. Why didn't you include it with your Series 11 purchase pack? You're just gouging money away from people that want to see a freaking holiday special or a New Year's special, whatever you want to call it. It's wrong. Just include it with the Series 11, with the Series pack. Come on, man.
Yeah, this does really feel like gouging. That's just the whole purpose, just trying to milk the honeys.
Okay. So we're 7 minutes behind schedule, and we're now switching over. Let's talk about the episode. Who's doing the summary?
Who was down to last time?
I'm a little apprehensive, but I did agree ahead of time to do it, so I can give it a try.
Yeah, all right, Bill, whenever you're ready.
Bill was the only person left, yeah.
All right, and starting. So, the Doctor and the TARDIS crew are viewing New Year's across the universe and time and space. Basically, say, "Hey, it's a New Year's special. Hey, it's a New Year's special." They go back home, and as they're going through Graham's apartment, there's a knock at the door. Graham doesn't want to let the guy in, and then Ryan realizes, oh, it's his dad, who he's not feeling much more fondly toward, but he lets him in. There's a whole bunch of stuff, basically putting in his face, be like, hey, you've been a crappy father. If you want any sort of contact with us, you really need to do something to make up for that. And it seems to kind of hit home. He doesn't really quite understand the magnitude of why they're so pissed at him, but he wants to make it right. In the meantime, they discover that something is going on with a creature that was found on an ancient corpse that had to do with a not quite a cult, but a sort of religious order recognizing this event in history. And as the Doctor tries to learn more about it, she discovers that it is a Dalek outside of its shell that has been inert on Earth for hundreds of years and is now awake and trying to go about what Daleks do, conquer the Earth. It has apparently read some Robert Heinlein novels because it takes a woman, tells her that that it is the puppet master and the pilot, and starts to use her to get its casing back. Just as it finishes building its casing and plans to kill the woman, the Doctor and crew arrive. The Doctor temporarily disarms it, manages to piss it off, and it leaves. They're all panicking, like, oh my god, what are we going to do? Dalek, is it going to call the fleet? Daleks are evil. And then Ryan's father decides to hook up a I don't even know what you call it, a
microwave element, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like what to call the final product to weaponize a microwave / oven combination and use it to destroy the Dalek based on some ancient artwork showing that they defeated the Dalek the first time by essentially burning it out of its metal casing, because this was not a Time War Dalek, older tech.
Mm-hmm.
So they use this combination, manage to defeat the Dalek. But as they're about to celebrate, the Dalek is pulling its puppet master trick again, trying to force take Ryan's dad as a hostage and force the Doctor to bring it to the Dalek fleet. The Doctor decides to trick it and launch it out into space instead. And through the power of love and such, they manage to wrest it from Ryan's father and eject the Dalek into space before dropping Ryan's dad back off at home. The end.
Okay.
Roughly 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
And there were some bits missed and stuff, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think any important ones were, but
Kind of the Ryan and Ryan's dad subplot mostly, but yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about what we liked about the serial, and we're starting with you, Matt.
Oh gosh, what I liked about the serial. I liked the Dalek.
if we ran the numbers, I feel like Matt will have gotten number 1 more than anybody else.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
The thing is, when I go to roll who goes first, I roll a d4, and I have everybody arranged in alphabetical order. So apparently my d4 likes 2s. Because it's Bill, Matt, Thomas, Tim, in that order. So.
Haha, number 2, take that.
Well, yes, it was nice to. It was definitely nice to see Nick Briggs back working with the main Doctor Who thing.
Yeah, it was going back to the Dalek. It was nice to see Nick Briggs back to do the voice. It was nice to see a Dalek outside of its shell again, because we only get so many times we get to see that.
And it was obvious that they redesigned it how it looked outside of its shell, as opposed to the blue cheesy slimy squid thing that looked completely different from the one that's in here. This was a little closer to what I think we saw like back in like Genesis of the Daleks.
And I think they pulled it off better than the spider mutation Daleks from the last Christmas too. That were kind of pulled out of left field.
The spider mutation Daleks?
From the planet where what's his name, the Dalek had holed up and was.
Oh, those weird things. Yeah, that's right. Not sure if those were Dalek spiders, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Doctor referred to them as being a mutation of the Dalek.
But yeah, it's nice to see. Yeah, they remodeled it again, but it seems to be a little bit closer to what we expect out of a Dalek. Although it seems to have new abilities, and they explain that at least very quickly in the episode. Also interesting to see what a Dalek could make for a shell out of Earth materials and a little bit of leftover parts from other Daleks.
Yeah, they say that it was from the leftover parts of itself, but I'm kind of thinking it just took leftover parts of whatever Daleks it could find.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably leftover pieces from Canary Wharf.
Yeah.
A couple of pieces left over from like the Day of the Daleks invasion back in the 70s.
There's probably more from Classic Who because I don't think Time War Daleks would have been remotely phased by a microwave.
Well,
that's also because this Dalek is Earth parts.
May I make a hypothesis here?
Okay.
I think that only worked because the good chunk of the stuff that was holding these odds and ends pieces together was regular metal.
Yeah, like I was saying, Earth parts.
Okay, so you're saying the joints and seams and stuff melted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
this is pieced together as best you can with
right?
Earth stuff. Yeah. And
yeah,
you make metal explode inside microwaves, essentially. So yeah.
I know what happens when someone puts an aluminum pan of mac and cheese in the microwave.
Boom.
Darn.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a science experiment where you put like a spoon in a jar in a microwave or something.
Yeah.
I've seen online shows where they put experimental ideas to use, like the things that they tell you not to put in the microwave.
Like steel wool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And marshmallows. And
I'm just having flashbacks of walking into the KFC kitchen. Oh, the microwave's on fire.
Yeah, kind of things. It's because it kind of causes a feedback loop. Anyway, so Matt liked the Daleks. What about you, Bill?
I'm gonna say I like that they didn't. It seemed like they were going to at first, I like that they did not do a complete remake of Heinlein's The Puppet Masters, because as soon as the Dalek said the word pilot, I was like, oh shit, are we watching Doctor Who does The Puppet Masters? And I was like, there's enough problems with that book that even Doctor Who trying to do it would have probably annoyed me. And the fact that was the only element they took from it, and they didn't have like an entire army of Dalek puppet masters, I kind of appreciate that they did not go that far.
Yeah,
Even
well,
though the references were kind of obvious.
With the way the Dalek was controlling it, I kind of went to Independence Day, where the alien had started controlling the guy and started to talk using his voice box.
That was like for one scene, though.
In the book, The Puppet Masters, they specifically are referred to as an alien that's on a person is specifically referred to as a pilot, and of course the name of the book is The Puppet Masters, which is a name that the Dalek used, I think, twice. So like that the comparison was, I could not avoid that comparison.
I'm sorry.
If I read that, I haven't read it in a decade, so it was not in my mind.
Every time Puppet Master is brought up, I always just keep thinking of the Full Moon Entertainment series.
Oh, you're thinking the one without the S.
All right, Tim, how about you?
I really liked the way the doctors interacted with the Dalek, and just the idea of the Dalek is like that to me is always like a defining moment of each Doctor's like what is the Doctor's mood when the subject of Dalek is even brought up?
Yeah, and Jodie Whittaker was really letting her tenant fly, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was in almost pseudo panic mode too, because she's like, oh god, this thing again. Never get to see the end of them. They're always coming back.
And that was kind of something Tennant did back in Daleks Take Manhattan.
A bit, yeah.
All right, Thomas, how about you?
I guess to kind of, in a way, almost kind of piggyback off Tim, the Doctor's reaction, to what's going on with the Dalek was like, because you can make the Daleks look very competent, which they do, which this Dalek does, and all that. But if the Doctor's still like how the Doctor was reacting to the Daleks by the end of like Moffat's run, where it's very casual and who gives a shit, it's the Daleks, I've kicked your ass like a million times, whatever. It's just kind of like, takes the menace down, whereas Jodie Whittaker is basically having a panic attack the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, like that was like, thank you. The Doctor's actually taking the Daleks seriously.
I love that she was able to both take them seriously and be cocky at the same time. That's very fine line, and I think she managed to pull off both sides without ruining either one.
But I'm wondering, who's more afraid, the Doctor of the Dalek or the Daleks of the Doctor?
Did you see the Dalek backing up? Like, holy fuck, who?
Yeah, it actually did have a moment of backing up, like, oh shit, it's you.
It did that scan and then shat its pants.
That's harkening back to like Doomsday, where Rose Tyler just casually drops the Doctor's name, and you just see the entire cult of Starro back the fuck up.
Yeah,
back the fuck up, and all instantly focus on her and like, what did you say?
Yeah.
And she says something like 5 billion humans, not even a sweat, one Doctor. Now you're scared. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see, that's the thing, that they're so adversarial to each other because they've been battling it out so long that yes, the Doctor gets twitchy whenever there's Daleks because the Daleks has cost her so much.
Right.
in the past. And the Daleks get twitchy when the Doctor comes up because the one being in the universe they keep losing to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whether it's in numbers or just ruining their plans or what have you, there's always the Doctor meddling somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Because traditionally, especially in the best stories, when they butt heads, both lose. The Daleks don't get what they want, and the Doctor usually loses somebody close to him, which I don't think doesn't happen here, but I almost thought it would for a second.
Or wins without losing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the Doctor wins, but what of the cost? Like when in Remembrance of the Daleks, where they beat the Daleks, they destroy the homeworld, but then they sit back and look at the cost, and Ace actually has to ask, "We did good, didn't we?"
That's right. Remembrance. I forgot to bring that during the summary. That I'm pretty sure the Doctor brought that Dalek to the exploding star of Skaro. Oh well.
That wasn't said it was Skaro. It was just said it was just a supernova that was about to collapse into a black hole.
At least I interpreted it while watching as a callback to Remembrance.
I think you might have been reading too much into it. I don't think they wrote that much into it.
And yeah, they didn't say any specifics about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so was that Thomas?
Yep.
Okay, so what I liked about it is that they brought Menace back to the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas did cut on this briefly, but I want to elaborate. The Daleks frequently have this thing where they go from being threat to joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Usually when Davros pops up his head and says hi. Because then they just become Davros' stooges. And at that point, you don't take them seriously. They're just there to basically be cannon fodder.
Or
but
to whatever it was that they did in the pilot. That scene was stupid, and it still annoys me.
But then you have episodes like Dalek, like this, where one Dalek alone is just this supreme super menace. And goes on a killing spree, and you realize that, yes, these things are nasty, threatening creatures. And I like it when that happens.
Yeah.
So I like that about this.
Now we just have to hope that they don't have the same problem where it's like, one looks great, but now I'll throw the Doctor up against a fucking armada of them, and the Doctor will still win.
And I think that partially ties into like we were saying about how both sides lose, where the Doctor knows one way or another she's going to survive this, but if the Doctor kills 1,000 people before the Doctor wins, they've both lost. And especially when it starts with the Dalek being miles away, that's a very likely scenario.
And that's the other thing that kind of goes in with Moffat's nobody dies fairy tale kind of thing.
Yeah, that completely undercut any threat from the Daleks whatsoever.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
So half their Dalek episodes under Moffat, they were Dalek planets. So who were they going to kill? Other Dalek?
Roll
All
eyes.
Right. So we talked about what we liked. Let's talk about what we didn't like about this episode. Matt, you are on first.
The unenviable task of trying to figure out what they didn't like first.
Oh, I've got a list. But I'll wait for you to go. I'll wait for you guys to help me pare down my list. If not, I'll just go off on it.
I think one of the things that did take me out of it, and I remember this very clearly happening when I watched the episode, is, okay, this Dalek is made out of earth metals and usual stuff. How is it that an armored tank can't scratch the thing?
It managed to deflect it. It managed to deflect.
Yeah, it deflected the shot. Yeah.
It deflected the shot, but it also somehow has had its own explosives. How is that on a farm? Like literal tank grenade levels of explosive materials.
I mean, by that logic, the Doctor did also create like a Sonic in like some random.
She did, but there was
garage.
actual alien technology there that she helped use to make it. The
True.
stuff that combined it together was definitely Earth made, but the parts she made it out of, there's the alien pod there.
Actually, we have the setup of them having taken a bunch of stuff from that like vault or whatever. They might have
The
taken
Dalek
stuff from
stole
there.
a gun, maybe the other arm, and possibly the eye stalk. That seemed to be about it. There's a few things, but
Well,
not
yeah,
a lot
I
of
mean,
big
like
things.
there was like the trunk of the car seemed pretty full, so they could have scabbed some weapons from there as well, aside from the
Do you remember
normal weapon.
that where they were stealing from was the Black Archive?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that's where UNIT keeps all of its highly classified alien shit?
Mm.
Yeah, I'm still not. Still, the majority of this thing is still made out of Earth materials, and it survived not only a tank but also an entire fleet of people shooting at it without even a dent. It's a little bit of a stretch.
I guess by comparison, at the very least, it seemed to be taking the shots, whereas like if it was in like Dalek, the bullets
dissolved before even hitting it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is that at least.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for one of them to pull out an anti-tank rocket. Because
Should have.
That's what I would have
They
done
should have
as a
thought of that,
soldier,
but oh well.
All right, Bill, how about you? What did you dislike?
I wish that the what was it called? The Order of the Custodian. I wish that its modern day incarnation was built up a little better, and I get that little prequel was kind of like hint at it, but I just feel like we didn't really know enough about them to really know like how to feel about them, especially since we only met 2 members. Like if we either met a larger group or learned more about them, I don't need both, but either one of them I think would have made me happy. As it is, it's just, I don't know, it seemed like something where like they included it but forgot to flesh us out enough for us to have that connection to it.
Plus, like, they have like, oh shit, something's happening, and that's like it, and they never.
Yeah.
Okay. Tim, how about you?
Tim?
Planet Tim.
Oh, he's muted.
Your mic is muted if you're trying to talk.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't like that there was no unit in this episode, and the lame ass excuse they had for not being any unit that was given in the.
Oh, I would have loved it if they'd blamed Brexit.
I mean, they did, but I think they were afraid to say it out loud because the BBC would not have allowed them to say it out loud. I know BBC's been blocking their publications from saying anything negative about Brexit, but I think this was their way of getting around that.
I think it would have been great. It's like, yes, well, due to Brexit, the UK has been doing preparatory budget cuts, and UNIT got the axe. I'm like, oh god.
But like
dun, dun, dun.
That's how, especially when they started talking about international partners separating from UK or whatever. I'm like, oh, they're talking about Brexit, but they're not allowed to say it. But I do wish the Kate Stewart. And
well,
such
I thought the
to show up.
international partners, they were referring to the UN, because you realize the fact that, remember, the unit used to be the United Nations Intelligence Task Force until the new series, when the United Nations came down and said, no, you can't use us anymore. Which is why it became the Unified Intelligence Task Force. So I thought that might have been a dig at the UN myself. Free to interpret it how you will.
Right.
Multiple ways to take it, yeah.
All right, Thomas, how about you? What did you dislike about the episode?
More like there are kind of a few things, but I feel like I'm gonna go something that's a bit. It sounds morbid, but at the same time, I'm almost kind of disappointed that no one we actually are supposed to give a shit about died.
We lost what? 2 cops, a farmer.
The cops might have been just knocked out. The farmer definitely died, and several soldiers.
No one to the
Several
scale of what
soldiers,
you expect from a Dalek episode.
and
Yeah.
the functionary at the Black Archive.
Although now that I think about it, it's mainly Classic Who that actually has important people die in Dalek episodes, right? Other than the
Dial leave.
Oh no, because you had Rose, you had the first part of
Rose
the 10th
and,
Doctor. You had the marriage. And I guess those are the main departures in Dalek episodes in New Who.
And
and Donna.
Donna.
Yeah,
I was just
Donna.
about to say.
Donna, being forced to leave. But yeah, like it's almost one of those scenarios where it would have actually been fine, given how much of a character arc he's had compared to everyone else. I would have actually been fine if they'd switched Ryan's dad being, for lack of a better term, possessed by the Dalek, or hijacked by the Dalek, whatever, and it had actually been Graham that and that he just willingly let go and just been like, fuck it, I can't risk it, and just sacrifices himself.
I like that, and then it could have set
it
up
would have been
it
would have been more dramatic, especially if they were planning on if Graham was planning on leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've only had rumors to that effect.
Especially if I don't think there's any plans for this, but if they were planning on having Ryan's dad become a recurring character, that would be a great way to start his arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, Graham.
Ryan would no longer have Graham to go to.
Example of this man who sacrificed his life to save you.
Yes, Ryan. Yes, to save you, he sacrificed himself. Now your son has lost his nan and his granddad within a year. It's time to step up.
Yeah. Whereas, like, if his dad had died, would anyone really have cared?
It would have
except of Ryan a little bit, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like as far as the go, we've only known this guy for literally this episode. So even though he's been mentioned before, this is his first appearance. So it's like if he died, I wouldn't have really felt anything. Whereas him surviving, I'm also like, okay, so that just means they're keeping him around.
Like the biggest loss would have been the fact that he was starting to own up to his responsibilities, and he would have never had that chance. And that was also why, like, as it was happening, I was like, if he dies, that's really lazy writing. They wouldn't do that, would they?
Unless he's doing it to protect Ryan.
Actually,
then it would have been.
If it was his choice, yes. But at the time, at the time it was the Dalek doing it, and I was like, it actually took me out of the moment because all I was thinking about would be like, wow, they wouldn't be that lazy of writers, would they? And I couldn't emotionally connect to the scene because of it.
Yeah, like I was almost thinking that they were going to have him make the scenario I brought up with Graham that they could have done of him just letting go and sacrificing himself. The dad doing that, I almost thought was going to happen. But at the same time, I was almost glad it didn't, just because, again, even though it would have been like, okay, at least he made that choice rather than it being forced upon him. I'm fine with them developing thing. It's with Graham, I was just like, it would have been it would have been like the perfect, in a way, ending to his arc, because basically this has been his series. So it would have kind of been like, okay, he can accept going, and he just like, okay, I'm doing this to save Ryan, fuck it, and just goes for it. Because it's just like, that being said, at the same time, I'll at least give them credit for not trying to pull a Moffat and like have it look like someone's died, but then, you know, the typical Moffat thing and bringing them back. So at least it was a case of just no one died, as opposed to doing a fake out.
You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Nope. Yeah. All right. So we've heard what everyone else disliked about the episode, and none of you hit my issues.
Wow.
Number one. How the heck did a group of 11th, 12th century soldiers defeat a Dalek?
Yeah, that was actually like
That's
what
a
I was
very
going to
good
bring
question.
up if I hadn't up the other thing because I actually had to stop the episode when the reveal came through.
It was some
'Cause I
sort
was
of
like,
net thing, but they
okay,
didn't really
wait.
show much detail.
Apparently, they netted it down and burnt it.
With the power of Smucker's raspberry preserves.
Which, you think about that, how would that work? The Dalek would blast the net apart before they could burn it.
Well, clearly they had help from the Ewoks.
The only way I think this could have worked is speculating is that what we don't see off camera is that the Doctor was there.
Maybe.
Helping from the shadows.
Given the Doctor knows about it, at the very least, some extraterrestrial involvement must have been there.
I would, but it's like like a later version of the Doctor is there dealing with it, kind of like the whole Merlin thing from Battlefield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a future up and coming Doctor might be doing it.
Yeah. Second of all, how the hell is a Dalek by itself able to teleport parts of itself across space to start regenerating? On top of that, how the hell does a Dalek regenerate in the first place?
Point.
And if it has suddenly gained those powers, how does that coincide with the Dalek's concept of genetic purity?
I can answer that last one, and that is if as of the episode, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Oh, The Magician's Apprentice. They pointed out that Daleks generally can't actually die. They more or less just lie inert until they have some sort of stimulus. So the UV light was, I guess, just enough of a stimulus to wake it up.
But then how did it teleport itself from two other portions of the globe?
That's what I was wondering. I think it's more like a... I think it was more like a worm, where if you cut it in half, it just becomes two different Daleks.
I don't think so. I think it was supposed to be
that
hinted that
the other parts of it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, those parts teleported back to the hole.
Because suddenly one of them disappears, and the other part, and the part that's there in the lab gets bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, "Oh yeah, I watched that." I'm like,
"Yep."
The only kind of hand wavy explanation they seem to give is specifically because it's this specific kind of Dalek.
Oh yeah,
which Dalek Scout or something, which is also very hand wavy.
Scout Dalek. How do you coincide that with the Daleks bent on genetic purity?
I mean,
they would kill this thing because it's no longer a Dalek.
Well, I mean, Daleks are having constant civil wars over that too, so we don't necessarily know which faction.
That's actually also true.
But we don't know if this is if this is just a blob, or if it's a blob with bits attached, or if it's a different kind of blob.
I mean, there's so many things that are like, what the fuck compared to a what we know about Dalek cores.
I think that's another thing is that we need to have like an episode that clarifies what the hell is up with the status of Daleks right now.
Yeah.
Because there's probably upwards of at least 2, if not upwards of almost 5 or 6 different factions of Daleks at this point.
That's partially intentional. Daleks are meant to be the boogeyman. They're not meant to be something you can pin down and understand. And the Time War basically means anything involved in the Time War has infinite continuity.
Well, the Time War also means that anything prior to the Time War is supposed to be.
But that's not guaranteed either.
It's more like quantum physics than anything else. They're Schrodinger's Daleks every time.
Yeah, basically.
If this Dalek was hanging around, how come it didn't vanish when Bad Wolf Rose did the whole "no more Daleks" thing?
Well,
I think actually the timeline that she did that in, they were gone already.
That's my same bitch about Asylum of the Daleks. So.
Randy, you gotta remember that's in the future.
Yeah, but.
No buts. That's in the future. It's already dead by that point.
I mean,
or is it?
That was a different.
It is because this is 2019. When the Bad Wolf happened, was well into our future still.
This is the universe that Amy remade, where the Daleks never invaded and stolen Earth or any of those things either. So
that continuity, ha. Yeah, how long until we send Daleks back into time to screw that plan up? I give them 1 hour.
I mean, I must admit, while we're going on about stuff of like the continuity of the Dalek being a bit weird, this is a Dalek that basically came to Earth before literally anything in the continuity of the show. Why does it end up looking like a New Who Dalek?
Pretty much. Well, that one I partially explained because that's part of the parts it got were probably pieces from Canary Wharf.
Right.
Well, the limbs and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
From when the big army of or from Journey's End.
Or even from Dave the Doctor, because they blew up a Dalek on their way through the picture frame.
That wouldn't make it look like a New Who Dalek.
The thing is, if Journey's End happened, we have to wonder why that police officer did not understand what Daleks were. And this is the problem with the amount of times Daleks invaded the modern day.
Yeah.
Every time the Daleks come to the modern day, that becomes a problem.
Well, pretty much anytime anything does, they seem to basically act as if aliens don't exist, or there are people who don't believe aliens exist. So it's always kind of weird.
Everybody always seems to think it's a hallucination. Or
it was nice that lady on the phone did not hang up when the doctor mentioned alien invasion, because I almost thought that was going to happen.
And say, how often does that happen? Now. I would love to see the revised UK policy, since units off the menu. In case of alien invasion, step A, let doctor handle it. That's all it says now.
And the Dalek is in the TARDIS just holding her gun. Oh no.
Step B, if step A fails, bend over, kiss ass goodbye. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of things about the Dalek just seemed to be a bit contrivey to me. So, all right, let's move on to favorite scene. Matt.
Favorite scene. Which one do I want to go with? There's a couple of really good ones. I think I'll go with the actually, yeah, I'm gonna go with the cops stopping the possessed archaeologist, and just the absolute chaos that comes out of that. The one guy walks up to the window. You know how fast you're driving? You are an enemy of the Daleks. And how do you spell that? Tendrils come up, grab him, pull him through the window. His buddy isn't watching until she all of a sudden looks up and sees the legs kicking out of the window. Oh my God! Quickly gets out. He's been spit onto the sidewalk. You are the enemy of the Daleks. Tendrils come out again. A few moments later, you just see her in the police outfit with the car.
You know, and speaking of evolution of the Daleks, I mean, remember those things used to basically just be clawed slugs. I don't think we saw tentacles until the 5 Doctors.
Trying to remember anything before then. Maybe during Genesis?
I don't remember them actually showing the mutant in Genesis.
I think they might have shown
we saw
them
the Doctor looking in horror through the glass at what would be the mutants, but the mutants were off camera.
I thought they showed them, but also I'm thinking they showed them during the second Doctor, Power of the Daleks, and we don't have footage of that.
Oh, the one we can't see. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure on that.
Although Power of the Daleks is a huge question anyway, because where did they even get all the mutants in the first place? They were basically just manufacturing Daleks on the planet.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they were doing. They just had a facility inside of that little
theory of if you chop a bit off, it grows into a new Dalek.
I think there must have been something in that craft that the Daleks were in that they could just keep mass producing Daleks.
Yeah, because I thought they needed some kind of spawning pool, like the Zerg in a way.
Yeah, they were essentially using a spawning pool, breeding them out, popping them into suits as they made the suits, and setting them off to go.
which really wants me to make a Dalek invasion real-time strategy game. Where you play the Daleks, and first you have to put down the mutant spawning pool, and then like the Dalek shell manufacturing facility. You know,
I could see that, and it would be different. Shoot, yeah, you could have the factions be Earth and Daleks, and then the DLC would bring in the Draconians, the Cybermen,
or different Dalek
Sontarans.
factions, so you could actually go into Dalek war.
Yeah.
Because one of them would have like Davros as the player, you know, the NPC general, and
But
as
anyways,
in Emperor Dalek mode. Yes.
Yeah.
but anyways,
Okay,
just
Bill,
game
favorite
tangent
scene.
aside, I just like the
Favorite
fact that they
scene?
brought the threat back to it.
Sorry, I think it was Tim didn't like this, but I'm gonna have to go with that unit scene because I like that the Doctor actually acknowledged, hey, unit would be, you know, valuable here. Let's try and use them.
It's a
And we
Dalek.
actually
I
had-
need to call in unit. Oh,
And we
crap.
actually had a credible government official who didn't just be like, yeah, there's no such thing as aliens and unit doesn't exist. And I almost had a beef with that scene, but then I realized that my beef is actually non-canon, and that was the code that the Doctor gave Leela in Trail of the White Worm. I thought it was from Time Flight, but in Time Flight he just mentioned unit. He didn't actually have a code. So like, okay, so I can't really complain about that.
I'm surprised he didn't try Code 9 though.
Ah,
That is canonical.
okay.
The fact that apparently the appearance of the Doctor qualifies as a Code 9.
Gotcha.
That is true.
But it's not like a password that'll automatically bypass.
No,
any
but
red
it
tape
brings up a
unit.
whole bunch of alerts and red flags.
Right.
Or at least it's supposed to be. And actually, didn't they also try to erase some of that?
Not really. The person just looked up unit and went, "Oh, I'm sorry, unit's budget's been cut. It's not."
No, I mean the
available."
Code 9 stuff. They actually tried to like erase some of that. They
Oh, you
didn't
mean
the
when,
Doctor give like Mickey a disc or
when-
something?
When
No,
the
that
11th
erased
Doctor, when the 11th Doctor was supposedly traveling time and space, deleting all mention of himself.
That too.
And then the very next episode announced himself to the Daleks. Hey, I'm the Doctor. Don't you remember me?
Yeah, there's a lot of. I don't even. Yeah.
The 11th Doctor. That's all we're gonna say. Anyway.
Anyway, Tim,
Yeah.
favorite scene.
Favorite scene when the Doctor is in the farm building looking for the Dalek, and the Dalek blasts through the door and they face each other face to face with their faces.
First appearance of
The reconstructed Dalek.
junkyard Dalek.
Scrap Dalek.
Yeah. Scrapyard Dalek, yeah.
You realize that will be a toy coming out soon.
Oh, can't wait.
Oh, that's awesome.
Shoot, I wouldn't mind a statuette of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Thomas, how about you?
God, I
place
have
old
to
blue?
think now because Bill and Tim took mine. So, I get honestly, I guess I'll just go with the sort of mirror scene of like this episode's version of what we get in Dalek, where it's just taking out all those army people. Because it's like
It
I
didn't
love
get
the
the epic
fact that they think it's a
multi-shot, but
drone.
it definitely kept just blasting them. And yeah, they called it a drone.
They
yeah.
called it an unknown drone. So random.
enemy of
Did
the
it just
Daleks.
talk?
Did
Yeah.
that drone
And,
just
like,
talk?
Yeah, even though I can get like the whole wait shit, where'd the Dalek get these rockets from and whatever, at the same time when those came out I was like, oh fuck. These people are like more fucked than they were anyway.
I think I went, oh shit, it just went giant robo. Oh crap.
Of course, it does make you wonder in hindsight why the hell either Daleks have A, never used those before, or B, never thought of that.
Because I'm pretty sure this one just improvised it. Why
Yeah,
they've never
I'm pretty
thought
sure
of
this
it
one
before.
improvised that
Because
idea.
normally I think those globes are used for other things. And that
Oh,
really
yeah.
depends on which version of Dalek canon you breed. Because sometimes
Yeah.
they're supposed to be sensor
Yeah.
pods.
Yeah.
And
how
other
in like in
The Dalek
Dalek
bumps.
they used as like a containment thing
for
when it
self-destruct,
self-destructs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, Usually those things have other uses, but remember, it's piecemealing itself together. Hey, I have these spots. Hey, I have these missiles.
I don't have
Okay,
anything
there we
for
go.
these spots. Wait, I can make missiles. Put missiles there.
What I would have thought would have been funny if it had managed to scrap together pieces from the special weapons Dalek.
Just have a big piss-off gun.
Yes. All right. So my favorite scene, I think, was the one where the female paleontologist, archaeologist, whatever the hell she was, came home and took off her coat, and you see that thing wrapped around her for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time that it's revealing that it's a Dalek in the TARDIS.
Right.
Just the combination, and you're like, oh, shit. You thought something was up before, but then seeing it, you're just like, oh, my God. I just liked that scene. All right, least favorite scene. Matt.
Oh, so I'm going to go with this one. I have a couple of them that were head tilty, but in particular, and I have this problem with a lot of science fiction. Why, when people are alone and see something weird, do they have to go up and touch it? You are asking for this to happen. I'm sorry, but you people have terrible self-survival skills.
And,
you see something freaky on the wall, you run away.
That's not what people would do in the modern age anyway. They would hold up their phones, take a picture,
and then
put
run.
it on fucking Facebook.
Although,
what the hell is this? You know.
At least from these two, I think I got the impression they were looking for it. They were looking for the body.
No, well,
they weren't looking for a body.
They were looking for a body. They were not looking for the Dalek.
Right.
They were uncovering a body, and they were looking for an artifact at the time that apparently had been supposedly grabbed up by a rat.
They thought that what ended up being the Dalek had been grabbed by a rat, so she was looking to see where it got to or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sillily saw this weird giant squid wall thing and decided it's time to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like, okay, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Well,
Bill,
you'll be lucky to survive this episode. Good luck to you.
How about your least favorite scene?
My least favorite scene, I'm going to go with the one I mentioned earlier with the Dalek on Ryan's dad, just because, again, it completely took me out of the scene because I did not believe that for meta reasons, that they would do what they were threatening to do, and I ended up being right. So, because it took me out of the episode so hard, I'm going to pick that.
All right. Tim?
Least favorite scene. I wasn't really that impressed with the one scene, the throwaway scene with the family saying, "We've lost Wi-Fi, the internet's back. What do we do? I guess we could have a conversation." What?
See, I don't like the way they said what. I would have actually liked if you said, "What is that?"
I
looked at it as a tongue-in-cheek thing, but as a serious thing, nah.
I get the joke, what they're going for, but it could have been done better.
It seemed like something from The Simpsons or the Orville or something.
Yeah.
Or the response would be read a book, and just the kids go, ew.
See, that would have been more believable, because then at least they wouldn't have had that aversion, the mother being like, a conversation, the worst thing that could ever happen.
I have to actually talk to my children. Oh no.
I suppose you guys could go outside and play.
That too.
Yeah. I'm pretty much gonna piggyback on this because this is mine as well. And it was just so when it I still get it a bit of a chuckle out of it, but at the same time I'm like, so you can't read a book or something? Because it seems like this is one of those things where people are it's just one of those commentaries that fall flat for me in a way, because I'm just
well, I don't think it's helped to stun silly deadpan, but yeah.
Nobody's
Like, yeah.
actually like that. So to have that in a semi-serious trauma, it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean,
It's-
I prefer the line before, like, the line before that scene happens where, like, Graham is all like, oh my god, they've taken out the Wi-Fi on New Year's when everyone, the shops are and everything's closed, and Ryan's all like, those monsters, and it's like,
Right,
that is
right.
funnier
and
than
if
the
they
actual.
if they had shown
follow-up.
part of that scene where you see
Mm.
the kids trying to connect and everything,
And then
But
to
it
see
was
the mother
just-
confused too, then just ended it there. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
you could have cut away and saved that scene. It could have been saved with a little bit of chopping.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we're up to me.
Ah,
All right. I have
Yeah.
2 least favorite scenes. One of which is the cut to the external of the Global Communications headquarters, where they actually chop that up and then has to show you GCHQ. It was exceedingly cheesy
Hmm.
and kind of over the top too. I hate to tell you guys this, but the closest thing Britain has to a Global Communications headquarters is Post Office Tower.
I was just gonna say.
It's not called Post Office Tower anymore, but that's basically pretty much the main communications hub for Britain. So this big freaking Pentagon-like building in the middle of fuck all nowhere
Nah.
was like something you would see out of a Die Hard movie.
Which might work if it belonged to something like Unit, where it was a secret.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
Unit's been defunded, so who the
Yeah.
fuck runs it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other least favorite scene is the father takes his son out for tea at a local cafe, but yet can't resist going up to the guy behind the counter and go, "Hey man, want to buy a microwave?"
It's also an oven.
I'm like, seriously?
Hmm.
And I mean, he's
I'm
doing it with about the enthusiasm if you'd get, it's like, yeah, I just stole this from the guy down the street.
I've met people who are like that, so that isn't that surprising to me.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
it's
know.
like-
It just hit me as being,
It-
it just kind of took me out of the scene.
It fell off the truck.
Yeah.
Did he say how
And
he
it's like-
got it?
He said his friend built it.
He and his friend built it,
Ah.
and he's been trying to help
Yeah,
his
his-
friend sell
yeah.
it.
Gotcha.
Mm.
And
But,
he
like,
also
yeah,
admitted that
it-
every
it
time he tries to
does-
sell it, he sounds like a sleazeball, and he feels like he's not helping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's a
Just-
card. It's for this guy in America named
Yeah.
Ron Popeil. He'll sell it for you.
Is it? It sounds. It's like it was more. It came across like, well, shit. We have to work the microwave in here somehow. So they just figured, screw it, that'll work.
Yeah,
When they
but
really could have just had it come up in conversation. Like, you can basically cut that and then just have the rest of the scene play out as
Yep.
it did, and that would have worked.
yeah, without him having to try to sell it, it just took me out of it.
Mm.
It's like he's trying to pay for his tea by selling a stolen microwave. It's like, no.
Like the laziest Chekhov's gun ever.
Yes.
Mm.
So those were my least favorite scenes. Okay. So now we move to our final thoughts and ratings.
Yay.
Oh, Matt.
Oh gosh, my final thoughts. Overall, it's a fairly solid story. We do get some interesting introductions, possibly people who might continue on with the show. We'll see. It's nice to see the Daleks actually being a legit threat again, and having a new Doctor have to face that threat for the first time once again. Never gets old to see how the new Doctors will handle it. Also, nice to see them see how the Doctor tries to introduce the fact that there's this big menace in the universe that has been a waking nightmare for the Doctor and has not talked to anyone else about it for up to this point, and see how they handle it too. Otherwise, most of it is pretty solid. There's a few little flaky bits, but they're just flaky bits.
All right. Bill?
Right. This episode reminded me a lot of Dalek, which is a good thing. It's nice to see a Dalek on a rampage that can be taken seriously. Um, it was, a bit of a shock to see, and I guess I missed some news last week because I haven't been looking at the news since Randy's been the main one doing it. So I wasn't expecting Daleks to come back until literally I posted a complaint in our group chat about the fact that they seem to be ripping off the Heinlein book, and then I hit play and she said the word Dalek, and I was like, oh shit. um, but otherwise, I would say I like the episode. There's some minor gripes, but I don't think they interfered with the overall flow of the story in a strong way, so it doesn't bring the score down very much. And yeah, I would say best Dalek episode we've seen in a while.
All right. Tim?
Solid performance by the main cast. I liked the design of the Junkyard Dalek, as well as the overall story arc of how they fit the Dalek into this episode. Ryan's dad's storyline seemed kind of shoehorned in at times, a bit like or just like it seemed like a barnacle on the side of the hull of the ship.
Yeah.
So to speak. There should have. I think they could have brought Ryan's dad back in another episode and like fit him into the storyline better that way. But other than that, I thought this was a pretty good episode.
All right. Thomas?
I enjoyed this one. I feel like I probably wasn't paying attention as hard, but even then, once again, I feel like Yaz is just kind of there.
Yeah.
As is the running theme of this of this series of episodes. Which I do hope, for the sake of that actress, because she's not a bad actress, she's just getting fuck all to work with. I hope they give her more when we get to series 12 or whatever
You mean
we
in
get
2020?
before then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there are certain ones that are gonna bring my rating down probably, but I feel like the fact that this is basically the 2019 equivalent of Dalek makes me forgive a lot of things that I would otherwise really harp on that would drag it down. And again, as is the case, no matter what the story is, the acting is great. I am glad that Jodie's first encounter with the Daleks ended up being as good as it was, despite the problems we've had with it. So yeah.
All right. So my thought, it's nice to see the Daleks menacing again, even though their ability to do so is less plausible than it is in Dalek. The acting is good. The directing is fairly decent in this. The special effects team managed to handle the Daleks fairly well and impressively. I think the writing could have been shored up a bit, and that's primarily where this fails. Again, Yes is kind of just like a second banana of just being there. Honest to God, I wish they would establish her as Ryan's girlfriend just to give her character development. Even if it's predictable character development, it's better than no character development, which is where it is now.
She's got a family and she's a cop.
And she gets called racial slur.
And having the Doctor deal with the Daleks as well, but yeah, the whole concept of where the Dalek came from, how it got there, and how it's still fucking alive is, just going to eat at me for a long time. And will affect in my score. Okay, ratings. All right, Matt.
All right. Oh, I accidentally closed the wrong thing earlier, apparently. I had to flip a coin on this one. I was at a 4.75, so I had to go one way or another, or 4.5, and I wanted to decide if it's going to 4.75. It was either going to be a 4.5 or a 5, and I flipped, and it said 5.
Ugh.
Ugh.
All right. All right, Bill.
I've been sitting here trying to decide a 4 or a 4.5, and when I have more distance, I might feel more mellow on it. But for right now, I'm giving it a 4.5.
4.5 instead of okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tim.
I said I would have wanted Unit in this episode, but it was still a good episode, so I'll give it a 4.5.
All right. And Thomas.
Yeah, I'm pretty much gonna have to keep the trend going because I feel like whatever issues I have probably aren't enough to drop it down to a 4, so I'm gonna give it a 5.
I'm waiting for Randy to give it a 3.
No, but I'm going to give it a 4 flat because
Oh, okay.
that Dalek thing just pisses me off.
Hmm.
I mean, the rest of it's good, but that
Yeah.
just the implausibility of it just hurts it from the
way
core
the
on.
way you ugged at Matt made me think the highest you could possibly give.
There's no way in
0.5.
hell I could have given this a 5. Even at a 4.
I'm sorry, the rest of it makes up for it for me, so.
Yeah, it couldn't even hit 4.75 for me. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like a 4.3 for me, I think.
It's like a 4.2 for me. But that goes down to a 4. Anyway, with us all together, it does average out to a 4.5. So that will put this as our first score for 2019, as I think probably one of the highest scores that we've had for... Actually, is it the highest score that we've had for season 11?
We had two...
No, we've had
two
4.6.
4.6s, yeah.
Okay, so those will be better, but at 4.5, Resolution comes in at number 32 of 276 things rated. It is on par with Utopia, Here Comes the Drums, Last of the Time Lords, Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion, New Earth, Enlightenment, World Enough in Time, Dr. Falls, Thin Ice, The Rebos Operation, The Invasion, The War Machines, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and Rosa. It is better than Class, the Metaphysical Engine, or What Quill Did, i.e. one of the best episodes of Class. The 11th Hour, Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, Partners in Crime, The Time Warrior, Face the Raven, The Battle of Ranskor F. Kolos, Husbands of River Song, Santaran Stratagem, Poison Sky, at all, and is not as good as Seeds of Death, Talent of Wang Chiang, Arachnids in the UK, The Ghost Monument, The Invasion of Time, The Magician's Apprentice, The Witch's Familiar, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, and The Bells of St. John. So there we go, 32 out of 276 reviewed. That is all we have to say about Resolution. Bill?
Yeah. All right. So don't forget to follow us if you're watching on Twitch, or subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give your comments below. Do you think we were too nice? Do you think we were assholes? Do you think we were just right? Why? And of course, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter if you want to keep up with our announcements and any other posts that we have.
All right. So next week, well, that may be it for BBC's Series 11, but to continue Unearthly Podcast Season 11, we're going to take a trip down Big Finish Way to see how BF treats everybody's least favorite spinoff. Yeah, that's right. It's Big Finish. Class Season 2.
Oh, joy.
Everybody Loves Reagan, written by Tim Foley and starring Fady Elysiad as Ram, Sophie Hopkins as April, and Vivian Opara as Tanya. So we'll give our opinions on that next week.
Yay.
Dun dun dun.